What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with Gab and Maui and our new Boleros t-shirt. What's up? What's
We
up,
got
Gab? What's up, Maui? Bakit ka
merch!
naka-maroon? Bakit ka naka-maroon, Gab? Di ba sa asawa mo yan?
Yes! Because I used the blue yesterday, so gotta rep the maroon one. So, two colorways pa lang. And we'll probably be getting more colorways out there. I mean, nag-champion ng Lasal, so maybe there's a green one coming.
Oo. And if you're interested, baka comment down below. We'll see what we can do para at least sa next batch, pwede natin isama yung mga tao. We'll work out the details. Just let us know. Comment down below if interested kayo sa shirt. So at least we have like an idea then how many people want a shirt. But yeah, we're wearing blue and red para sa Pilipinas. Kasi today we're going to talk about Gilas Pilipinas ulit dahil wala pa tayo masyadong pag-usapan for UAAP and those two emphatic wins, I would say, from Gilas. Really great performance from Gilas against Hong Kong and Chinese Taipei or Taiwan. So, let's get started. Let's talk about those two games. First question for the two of you. Let's start with you, Cab, since ikaw yung nanood nung game kahapon. What surprised you the most from the two games that we saw sa Gilas? This could be anything, surprising player, surprising coaching decision, strategy, yung results, was it surprising? What surprised you the most?
Two things surprised me the most. First, it surprised me how enjoyable it was to see the triangle offense live. Because it's so fresh. It's so fresh. And me and my dad were watching it yesterday and said, man, seeing the ball move like that, the way Gilas Pilipinas moved the ball in both games, parang it leaves the dribble drive offense in the dust to me. Because really, sobrang naumay na siguro ako. Naumay na siguro ako sa dribble drive offense si Coach Chot Reyes. The number of pick and rolls, isolation, the standing around that other people in the offense do when those isolations and pick and rolls come. I was surprised at how refreshing it was na may sistemang ganun na nilorun ng Gilas Pilipinas. Overall, pretty enjoyable. And it brought me back to watching the Los Angeles Lakers because I am a Lakers fan, a very long time Lakers fan since the Shaq and Kobe days. And I was telling my dad, I saw that. That was a play they ran for Kobe. You know, the double pin down from the opposite post to the flash in the middle. Ang dami, ang galing. The cuts off ball. Ang ganda. I was left speechless by how Gilas ran that offense. It's like, siguro what also surprised me was how much chemistry the guys had, diba? For a team that has been practicing for like 2 weeks, and to have that grasp of the triangle offense and knowing where to be and knowing what options to look for when you don't get that the pass from the cut, where to go, if we don't get that option, saan ka pupunta, where to pass. Again, it reminds me of Kobe and the Lakers and him saying that the triangle offense is all about reading and reacting. And I was so happy that Gilas Pilipinas did that. If they were denied one way, they would go another way and find another option. Ang ganda na movement. I was left just in awe of how beautifully they ran the triangle offense. There's more to come. So that was my first surprise. No, I mean, the competition was also not up to par with us, and I think that shows by the score. But the other thing that surprised me, and I think Maui has the same answer. It's Kai Sotto. The guy looks legit. Take it with a grain of salt. He was going up against competition that were much smaller than him. He was the biggest guy in the court. Duncan Reed, the center from Hong Kong, was, I think, half a foot shorter than him. No one on Chinese Taipei was even close to his height. So take that with a grain of salt. But I love the aggressiveness. I love how he was looking for his spots, how he was running the floor, sealing in the paint, just getting every shot, uh, getting that low post position, and passing from the post. Again, it's part of my first point that surprised me. His understanding of the triangle offense, it seems to be far and beyond uh, his age. No, I mean he's not played this before, yet it seems like he has a full grasp of it. I mean, the triangle offense relies on a person being played from the post, and he's that option for most of the time. No, and I was so impressed. I was so impressed how good his touch was inside the paint. His free throw shooting was on point. His rebounding, his shot, his protection. Again, no, but take it with a grain of salt. I mean, medyo maliliit ang kalaban, and he was clearly way taller. But I love what I saw. And I think his recent performance in the B League na medyo he's on the rise. No, maybe he was injured before, and now
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
fully healthy. And then now he's really ramping up and trying to get to that level where we know he can be. So those were the two things that really surprised me: the triangle offense, the Gilas offense, and Kai Sotto.
Good point.
Amazing
Just
for
just
two
just
games at
just
least.
to just to add dun sa Kai Soto story, no? Kasi you watched it live, but kami ni Maui watching from Gilas Pilipinas. Download the app, please. Gilas Pilipinas sponsor us. Na-mention kasi doon na Kai, his dad played under Coach Tim Cone, di ba? So, when Kai was a kid, he grew up parang listening to his dad's stories and learning the triangle from his dad. So, he was saying na
Going to
he's really
practices, Sam.
comfortable. Oh,
Going to
and joining
practices.
practices. Yes. So, he was saying na he's really comfortable with the triangle mula nung bata pa lang siya because of his dad and yung the time that his dad spent with Coach Tim Cone. So, maganda yung kwento na yun. And ako nga parang, legit kaya yun? But like when you saw Kai play and he was so comfortable nga with the triangle, nakakatuwa panoorin. And I think, ano siya, tama ka Gab, I think na, more or less parang this is very far from how he performed in like the previous like international competitions. Even in the B League, yung early start of the B League, he could barely play, diba? So it seems like he was really affected by that injury. And good news for us is it seems like he has recovered from it. So Maui, tama ba? Tama ba hula ni Gab? Is Sky one of your surprising revelations?
Yeah. Actually, both nung sinabi ni Gab are revelations for me. I think we saw how beautiful the triangle can be if it's harping in the right direction. We had yung assist percentage ng Gilas is something that we haven't seen probably in a very long time. We had a lot of field goals from assist, from passes. And kaya naman pala natin to run an offense that's not dribble drive. I think that's very important for the next windows to come. And since Tim Cone is practically our coach for the near future, at least for the next 4 years, I think that's the best thing that happened nung first two games. But Gab was right. Maybe it's because we're facing lesser opponents, but at least you see a glimpse of of the things that can happen if they are able to execute the right way. Yun talaga eh. You can see yung unselfishness from all of the players. I loved seeing Kevin Kiambao and Carl Tamayo also making some impact. Si Kevin Kiambao showcase yung passing niya really also. Si Carl Tamayo naman showed how we can break down yung zone defense by being the right spots. I think he hit a lot of open mid-range shots from the top of the key.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have to say ang two players were really rays of light for me during this window. First, siyempre si Kai Sotto, and then second si Calvin Oftana. I'll talk about si Calvin Oftana first. Si Calvin Oftana, I really like how he was utilized during this window of Gilas. He exclusively played as a small forward, and I think that's one of our weakest positions for Gilas. Malonzo and Oftana have to be able to transition to a small forward slot if we are able to face up against yung higher seeds ng FIBA. And I think si Oftana is on the right track. I love seeing him despite not playing for Team Cone. He was also playing at the right pace, always at the right spot, and I am happy to see him flourish sa Gilas. I think that he can be one of our part of the core of our future. He's below 30 years old, and if you look at yung Gilas lineup, he's probably one of the youngest, probably top 5 youngest in the Gilas lineup. But yeah, as far as yung biggest surprise for me yesterday and yung game against Hong Kong, it really has to be Kai Sotto. He really thrived. I think he mentioned also sa press conference that this is the most comfortable he has been in a long time. I think yung triangle offense really fits yung play style niya. He's a big that knows how to pass. A big was a back to the basket. And what's really great for me is we see yung aggressiveness ni Kai Sotto. Gilas really took advantage of the size advantage that we had during both games, out-rebounding the opponents, crashing the offensive boards, and using Kai Sotto as a hub for our offense. It is very unusual kasi diba nung dribble drive offense, even Junmar Fajardo had limited touches on the post. Most of its baskets came off passes right from the dribble drive offense. But during the games during this past week, Gilas ran a lot of post-up plays for Kai Sotto, a staple of triangle offense. If you look at how teams play in triangle offense, it's very important that you have a post hub, whether it be a guard or a big man who really knows how to play the post. And actually, yung Chinese Taipei game, I would say that they were really manhandled by Kai Sotto's athleticism and Kai Sotto's sheer height. I'm hoping that we see this type of Kai Sotto moving forward. I think I mentioned to you guys even before nag-start yung FIBA that it looks like that Kai Sotto's on the rise because of his recent performances sa B-League. One could say that maybe he was also underutilized, diba? Dun sa previous regime. He's not probably a good fit sa dribble drive offense. He was mainly a lob threat, in my opinion. But it's quite the opposite for now with Coach Tim, because clearly outside of Brownie, he was one of the top options on offense, and that's something that I look forward to. Kasi si Kai Sotto will definitely be part of Gilas for the next decade or so. So it's very important to establish his confidence.
There's no other choice, Maui.
Yeah,
if we don't want to run Junmar to the ground, we have to play Kai Sotto.
Ayan nga, di ba? We were talking about si Japet Aguilar. He's playing at age 37. So we don't have the luxury of bigs. Unfortunately, si AJ Edu has always been plagued by injuries even nung time na sa college. And it has transitioned now that he's a pro. Hopefully he gets healthy, especially para dun sa last chance qualifiers natin on July against Latvia in Georgia. Hopefully we get a full lineup since we'll be going up against taller opponents. But it's I'm very excited. I would say as much excitement I had probably since the first time Gilas qualified for the World Cup nung first iteration ni Chot Reyes ng Gilas team. I think we really needed a fresh ray of light, diba? Something fresh, something new, and I think
change of scenery.
Yeah, change of scenery. And maybe Tim Cone is the right coach nga right now to transition us to the next level. Hopefully, but I'm happy. Si Kai Sotto talaga what a surprise. Hopefully more to come. Kai Sotto dominating Asia is the next thing that should happen in my opinion. Sam.
And hopefully he stays healthy, no? Kasi yun din ang mahirap with a body type like Kai's, diba? Lanky and 7'3". So health is an issue. Speaking of health, AJ Edu, I think mentioned na he'll be ready in time for the qualifiers, last chance qualifiers sa June or July. So I think I read that somewhere. So yun, hopefully we'll have a complete lineup. siguro for me, what's sort of surprising, although syempre natambakan din yung other teams, was the young players getting to play a lot. We're always looking forward to seeing the young players kapag merong mga bata dun sa Gilas. We're always looking forward to seeing them get a lot of playing time. And in the past, hindi sila masyado nakakuha ang playing time. Maybe it was more competitive, nagtatry maghabol. But this one, it was very refreshing to see the younger players play a lot. And na-excite ka not just because they're doing
Walang
well,
choice,
not
Sam.
just because
10 at 9 lang yung lineup.
hindi, 11 naman. 11 yung lineup. Pero nakakatuwa because these are the future players, diba? Like, we're talking about Kai Sotto, we're talking about Carl Tamayo, we're talking about KQ, who did well nung first game din also. Sino pa ba mga Oftana, Dwight Ramos. These are the guys that are going to be mainstays for Gilas long term. So it's very refreshing or nakakatuwa makita na they get to play and they're doing well. I think Gab, obviously sabi mo these are weaker teams, diba? Chinese Taipei and Hong Kong China, but I think it was also a good timing na sila muna yung first two games natin with this new Gilas team. I think the next one would be the qualifiers, which Maui, I think you mentioned Georgia and Latvia yung magiging kalaban. And
Mga top 15.
at least, medyo mabigat. Latvia
Latvia's number 8.
pa sila. May KP,
Yeah.
July na yun. Baka tapos na yung NBA na, di ba?
Tsaka they did pretty well without Porzingis, di ba, nung World Cup here.
Without KP. Bertans, di ba? Ayun. So, it's going to be tougher competition. So, I think this is a good confidence booster then for the young guns and also the team in general and the fans like us. Medyo mas na-excite tayo. Sige, so those are the surprising things for you guys. Anything sort of anything that you saw na you think needs some work? Doon naman tayo sa medyo negative, di ba? Hindi tayo pwede puro positive na lang, di ba? So, anything that you saw that you think will need to work on, will need to develop in order to prepare for our next Gilas competitions. Kasi yun, surprisingly good, di ba? Ano naman yung mga nakita nyo that need some work? Let's start with Maui naman this time.
Yeah, I think number one thing that they have to work on is something that we've been harping on from the start. I think they really have to work on yung outside shooting. Maybe we don't have that knockdown shooter, but we have players who have range. It's about really all of the players from Gilas having that outside shot. Maybe they can continue to work on that. Si Carl Tamayo was able to hit, I think, a couple of 3-pointers. Si Kevin Kiambao also hit a 3-pointer. I know some of the Gilas guys are probably old, but when it comes to international basketball, outside shooting is really a very important thing. I think that's one of the main reasons why European teams tend to rank very high and perform really well. Floor spacing is very important when it comes to international basketball, especially since yung rules ng FIBA is quite different to other leagues. I think the big man can stay in the paint. So to space the floor, definitely you have to have shooters. It's my wish is really for Gilas to get a knockdown shooter. I think we've said that during the past, but since we have a lot of players who have been shooting from the outside and who have historically shot from the outside during their careers, maybe they can continue to work on them. If we can name an example, si Kevin Kiambao would be the perfect example, diba? He didn't have an outside shot during the last window of FIBA, but now he's one of the top shooters, I would say, sa Gilas lineup. So maybe that's something we have to work on. We struggled against Hong Kong China during the first half because of the zone defense that they ran. It's primarily, I think even Chinese Taipei was running a zone defense portions of the game. And I think yung scouting report kasi from our lineup is that we don't have a knockdown shooter. But fortunately, Gilas was able to execute. Now, I don't know if that will be enough when we face the teams that are taller, teams who are more competitive than these two teams that we faced. It was a very, I really loved how Coach Tim was able to utilize si Scotty Thompson, especially in the Hong Kong-China game. Using him in the middle of the zone, similar to like a big man. I think that really comes up with familiarity and yung comfortability ni Scotty Thompson. And that's something that I guess maybe other players would also learn. It's really refreshing to see Coach Tim show out yung experimentation also. Some of the players could play that similar position as Scotty. So maybe it's really about learning yung triangle offense. Actually, if you look at yung press conferences ni Coach Tim, he was downplaying yung potential performance ng Gilas, and we even got a blowout. I think he's really preaching patience also. We have to be very patient. As Gab mentioned, learning the triangle offense is not as simple as it is. It was fortunate that the players were able to really execute during these past two games. But maybe if we are against bigger, taller, more athletic, and more advanced teams in terms of defense, maybe we'll struggle more. But I think it's really all about practicing patience for this team. They showed us yung potential, I think, during this window if we are able to execute properly. I think lastly yung defense ng big men. Si Kai Sotto, I think yung biggest fault ni Kai Sotto during this past two games is how he's being murdered on the pick and roll. I think he has to continue to work on yung quickness niya. But fortunately, he was able to get a lot of blocks of close outs from these pick and rolls. Maybe if it's against faster and stronger and more athletic players, we'll get more murdered on these plays. But yeah, I guess generally positive things. I mean, how can you be negative if we're winning by an average of 30 points for these two games? Gab?
Similar to you, Maui. The first, you said it, 3-point shooting. Gilas shot 25 threes against Hong Kong, then shot 16 threes against Chinese Taipei. Now, a lot of that is because I think they're really actively looking for Kai Sotto inside and actively looking to exploit their size advantage. But if you shoot less than 30, I think, against top-tier teams, you're gonna lose. At some point, the math will catch up to Gilas Pilipinas. You can't shoot 16 3-pointers in a FIBA game. You're not gonna win. The math is gonna go against you. And if you watch the other games in this window, if you watch Japan, if you watch China, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, they jack up a ton of threes. Japan, who I think is already the best Asian team. I mean, they've qualified for the Olympics already. I think they're the best. Outside of the teams from Oceania, I think Japan is already top of Asia. And the way they do it is by shooting a ton of threes. They have a ton of shooters around. They have two small guys. I forget their names. Si Togashi and si Kanagawa. And then si Baba. Diba? They have so many shooters. And I think that's going to be a weak spot. I'm not sure if the triangle offense is designed to get that amount of volume of 3-pointers up. So hopefully we see more variation of the triangle where we can get a lot more threes to go in. Now that's in part with what Maui said. Diba? Okay, we can attempt threes, but can we make enough of them to actually matter in bigger games with higher competition? So yun yung concern ko. I mean, if you shoot 16 threes, hindi kita naman nanalo in an international competition. Second, same thing with the defense thing. Medyo mahirap na si Kai Sotto ang center. And we saw it, I think, against Hong Kong. Na pang si Kai Sotto ang center, medyo we give up a ton in the pick and roll. I think Kai Sotto can't keep up with guards on the perimeter, smaller guards. We saw this with Junmar in the World Cup. He was getting played off the floor because he was so slow. And I think the same is going to happen to Kai Sotto. If they play teams like New Zealand and Australia, you better be sure they're going to run pick and roll with Kai Sotto as a defender. And they're going to force Kai Sotto to defend in space. And that's his weakness. There's just no other way. He's a tall guy. He's not light on his feet. He's gonna be taken advantage of. You saw it against Hong Kong for a stretch. It just so happens na talagang mas magaling tayo, so no, yun overwhelm yung Hong Kong. But if I'm a scout for another country, I'm seeing what Hong Kong did in that first half and just involving Kai Sotto in every pick and roll. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna force Tim Cone to make a decision to keep Kai Sotto inside or to risk that mismatch that he poses in the pick and roll. If I were Tim Cone, I would actually look at something close to what the Bucks run. Diba with Brook Lopez, diba hindi naman siya pinakamabilis na center, but
hindi naman siya mabilis, diba? Oo, tama.
Right. Hindi naman siya mabilis, but an excellent rim protector, and he basically drops in the pick and roll and just
drop coverage,
yung drop coverage. So maybe something like that. Study that defense from the Milwaukee Bucks. They've been very effective with it for the past couple of years. So something along that lines maybe. So it will be interesting to see, no, kung sa mga future opponents ng Gilas, kung paano sila mag-adjust to how teams are gonna play Kai Sotto and how much they're gonna jack up threes. Because if we're going up against Latvia does only one thing. Yeah, they just shoot. Yeah, they don't care. They will shoot.
1 to 5.
Tres lang tinitira nila.
Yeah, so that Latvia game will be very interesting. It's a very good test for the triangle offense and for the way we play, which is usually a lot of paint points, no? And the other thing is we do give up a ton of threes as well. That was evident in the Hong Kong game, evident a bit in the first half yesterday against Chinese Taipei. We kind of clamped up on them in the second half, really clamped up on their attempts from three. But we cannot give up those wide open threes. I think we gave up too much of them against Hong Kong, which is why the game in the first half was pretty close. If we give up that many threes and that many wide open threes against a team like, let's say, Japan, there's no way we're gonna beat Japan. You know? So, yun lang sa akin, the perimeter defense, the communication with off-ball screens, with the pick and roll. We can't go under screens in the international game. We're gonna get killed by outside shooting. And let's see how Tim Cone adjusts to Kai Sotto, because they can't have Kai Sotto guarding on the perimeter. I think Kai will be taken advantage of. Yun lang. Oh, and another thing na hindi na mention ni Maui, and sa something na yung na-observe ko yesterday, we're pretty shallow in terms of big men. If you look na Kai Sotto, Japet Aguilar, and then the other guy they used at center was Carl Tamayo.
Tamayo, yeah.
Not really, you know.
Yeah, si Carl Tamayo.
He's not really
position.
So, I'm thinking if this is the pool, the 12-man pool, and the only other bigs in the roster, sans Japet Aguilar, because he's technically retired from Gilas play, it's going to be AJ Edu and Junmar. And both have a history of injuries. So,
yeah.
That's my worry. So I was talking to my dad yesterday during the game. If they're gonna be injured again for the coming windows, sana hindi. Who are other big in the country that we can possibly pick up? And yung nga naisip ko, we're very slim. I was thinking, since Mike Phillips is not eligible, maybe someone like Raven Cortez from LaSalle, diba? Or some guy by the name of PJ Palacielo from NU.
Sabi ko na nga eh.
Or
pero
if worst comes to worst,
pwede siya stretch big.
Yes. May tira siya. Or if worst comes to worst.
Kung stretch big lang
Oh.
usapan, they have to consider also our first and only guest so far sa Boleros.
Oh.
Si Mason.
Si
Yes,
Mason. Di ba? Kung
exactly.
stretch
I,
big
I
lang
think,
ano.
Which Tim Cone liked, no, when he played for Coach
Yeah.
Tim Cone before. Okay, go
But
ahead. Gab.
yung sabihin ko, if worst comes to worst, if they really need height, they have to go to a guy by the name of Gio Chu. Because they're like, right now, guys, isipin nyo, sino yung next big man, like a big man that who can possibly go into Gilas and back up Kai Sotto? Because yesterday it was Carl Tamayo and Japet for some time, but Japet's old and he's retired. So sino yung next big man na pwede natin hugutin for Gilas? Greg Slaughter? I don't think after what happened to him at Ginebra, I don't think he's gonna play for Tim Cone. So diba? Who's next?
Hindi,
Kung may maisip kayo.
Tsaka diba, I
Let us
mean,
know.
si Gio Chu surprised us during his previous stint with Gilas, diba? I mean, maybe the UAAP is not a place where he excels. Maybe it's other leagues. Maybe he can be considered for the future even. I mean, he's only 21, 22 years old also.
I mean, he is what, 6'9", 6'10", so he has that height. But outside of Kai Sotto, AJ Edu, and Junmar
has to be considered also.
Probably, and Ange Kwame, but JB's there, so
yeah,
medyo hindi yata option si Ange Kwame. But depth at big man spot is pretty shallow. So yun lang masabi ko. Those are the three things. Sammy.
Okay, so sakto yung last point mo, Gab, because I was gonna say the one thing for me that they need to improve on is health. First competition pa lang nila, they lost 2 guys. That's why we had to bring in Japet Aguilar. Hopefully, when it comes to the qualifiers in June, July against Latvia and Georgia, we will have a healthy team. I think this is one of the main reasons why the two of you were very adamant about expanding the pool, diba? It's not that we didn't like the players in the 12-man pool. It's not that ayaw lang wala naman tayong ayaw dun sa mga players, diba? It was just that previously in the past, na-experience na natin to, someone always gets injured when it's time to play for Gilas. I think the most recent one, Scotty performed really well dito, pero in the recent ones, remember, Scotty injured, I think, his hand, and he couldn't even practice for the team when they were competing, and I think that really affected Scotty's performance in previous Gilas competitions. So, okay na maganda yung pinakita din ni Scotty dito, but we've seen this before. Crucial guys like Scotty Thompson, Junmar Fajardo. AJ Edu is actually a really crucial big for us because we know AJ Edu is a more agile big compared to Junmar and Kai Sotto. But as you guys mentioned, AJ Edu is often injured, diba? So, yun, to your point, Gab, we need to have guys, at least man lang siguro may nakalista na si Coach Tim Cone. Maybe they just don't want to publicly mention it, pero they have people lined up that hopefully what we were saying in the previous episode, if you haven't seen that, please go watch that. Hopefully can also train with the Gilas team because as you guys mentioned, learning the Tiger is not that easy. So yun lang naman yung point natin why we wanted to expand the pool. But definitely we believe in this team and we like the commitment to the 12 players. Ang promise ni Coach Tim Cone, the more games, the more reps they get, the better the team will be because the more they'll understand the offense or the system. So this is a good first start for the team, but hopefully come the next competition, they will be healthier. Now, before we end or I ask you your final thoughts, speaking of health, I think it's worth mentioning na wala si Jamie Malonzo in yesterday's game. Now, we did hear na medyo may updated news na dyan. I'm sure people know about this. But we did hear na Jamie missed the game because I think it was dehydration and he tested positive for COVID. But we also have to mention, or at least we don't have to talk about it, just briefly mention na there is a video circulating around and Jamie Malonzo has confirmed that it is him dun sa video na in a fast food chain in BGC supposedly na nakikipag-away with someone, 'di ba? So I think in terms of health, that's siguro yun lang yung medyo naging off sa Gilas performance din na to, no? Yung number one, na-injure si Jamie and nagkaroon tayo ng ganitong incident. Now, we don't know all the details, but Jamie has publicly apologized. Any reactions, guys, to like what happened, the incident, or any quick thoughts? Either of you can start.
Yeah. Ako, lang, I hope Jamie's okay. I hope it's gonna be resolved as quickly as possible. It's not good to see things like this. I think I also saw this one similar to yung nangyari Cam Newton in the US right now where he was, I think, harassed by 7 fans. It's not really good to see things like this, especially if it's an athlete. You can just imagine what injuries he can get if he's part of an altercation, especially outside the floor. I hope he's not injured. Hopefully he's just dehydrated and he gets healthy. I still think that Malonzo should and will be a huge part of yung core ng Gilas. I think he's one of the young guns.
He played well sa Hong Kong din and relatively young.
Sa Hong Kong. And I think yung transition niya to the small forward slot along with Calvin Oftana will be very important, especially when we face teams who are taller, especially on the wing slot. I think we don't have a luxury of that. I think Gab mentioned yung how we have a lack of options, a big man position. I would say that we also have a lack of options when it comes to tall wing players. And having a player like Malonzo continue to transition his game and get this as much reps as he can internationally is very important in my opinion. So hopefully it's okay. I mean, yun lang. Hopefully maayos lahat. Gab.
Yeah.
Just the same, man. I just hope nothing bad happens to him. He looked like he took a beating. in the video, he looked like he was pretty out of it, and hopefully no long-term damage, man. I mean, shots to the head. The one
he's a professional.
The ones he took.
Professional basketball player, so mahirap yun. Okay.
Yeah, the shots to the head that he took is kind of worrying. So yeah, hopefully he's all right, and hopefully it doesn't get to anything bigger, you know. Makipag-away na naman siya ulit. Who knows, man? So sana hindi naman.
Huwag niya gayahin si
I'm sure.
Huwag niya gayahin si Aranya tsaka si Rico Villanueva na nagkaka-round 2, round 3 pa.
The OGs.
Oh my
God. The OGs.
Oh my God.
And that's the thing, Maui, no? Si Jamie naman, even sa UAAP, hindi naman siya known as someone na nakikipag-away or ano. He was actually very nice or chill person, no? Sina Aranya, sina Enrico Villanueva, college pa lang, marami ng away, di ba? So
if your nickname is the Raging Bull, di ba? Talagang
The Raging Bull, exactly. Sige. So just to end this, no, generally, we were very happy about this new Gilas team, about Coach Tim Cone and his new system. In our previous episode, we ended with, we said we were hopeful pero medyo skeptical pa rin, worried pa rin tayo about certain things, the lineup, the amount of time for them to prepare, etc. With the 2 games that we've seen, I know it's just 2 games, pero how has your feelings or your perception of the future of Gilas changed, or if any? Gab, and then let's end with Maui.
For me, the answer will still be the same as before. The future of Gilas is still tawag dito, parang hugot culture siya eh. Diba? Whoever's playing well, sino yung magaling ngayon, sige, yun ang kukunin natin sa Gilas. It's not grassroots, which I think is the way to go. I think Maui and I, and of course you also, Sammy, we've always talked about this Start pa lang, bata pa lang.
And maraming nagko-comment,
you like
by the
Japan.
way. Maraming nagko-comment about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, while it's good to see dominant wins like these and the Gilas Pilipinas team playing well, I want Gilas Pilipinas to play well, and from teenagers pa lang, nandun na sila. Like, if we're gonna recruit from abroad, scout nyo na as early as before 16 para we avoid things like not having passports before 16. Guys like Kai Balungay, Zave Lucero, and all other Phil foreigners who can't play for Gilas. Hopefully we avoid that, diba? But hindi, diba? The Philippine basketball system, what the SBP has, is just hugot. Hugutin natin yung kung sino yung magaling. Like, KQ, Carl Tamayo, they're the ones who are playing well. Let's get them in. Yung sila na yung mga stars sa UAPs, get them in. Ito na yung stars sa NCAA, kunin natin. Diba? How many players from the youth Gilas teams do actually go up and play for the seniors basketball team, for the men's, at least? Diba? I doubt that's a lot. Very few, if ever. So that goes to show na the development from the ground up is not yet there. So in terms of looking at the future of Gilas, it's great na we're playing well now, and hopefully we play well in future matchups, but I still think this is not the way to go. I still think dapat grassroots. Dapat the system should be streamlined. Na hindi lang dapat, we have a tournament coming up. Okay, these are the guys who are playing well. Ito yung magagaling ngayon, kunin natin for Gilas. That's always been the case. Since forever, since as early as I can remember, that's been how the Philippine national team has always been formed. And I still think now we have to copy something like what Maui said, similar to what Japan is doing. Japan, all of their players from the youth days, they're now playing in the national team. But they're growing their own players into successful players at the seniors level, at the men's level. And I think if we want to stay at the top of Asian basketball and even in world basketball, we have to do something similar. Maui or Sam?
Yeah, I would say I am cautiously optimistic when it comes to Gilas. Yung performance yesterday, maybe it's just a case of like experiencing it yesterday and recency bias. But I'm very optimistic when it comes to Gilas. We have to be. We have to believe that we're on the right direction on a certain degree. But I would have to agree with Gab. I think it's very important that we really work on the grassroots program. It's very good that we see players like Kai Sotto, players like Carl Tamayo, who have been mainstays of Gilas youth teams, represent our country. These two players are very key centerpiece players for the future. They are 21 years old and 23 years old. I'm optimistic because we have 4 players who are 25 and under. I think si Dwight Ramos, Kai Sotto, Kevin Kiambao, and Carl Tamayo. I think it's very important that we have a mix of veterans and young players. But yeah, I'm still optimistic about the chances of Gilas. I'm cautiously optimistic because I'm scared. I'm scared if Gilas starts to struggle, will they change course? Will they change coaches? Hopefully what's important to me is that we have a direction. Even if we're not performing at par, even if we're not doing so well, maybe it's very important that we have a direction. If you look at yung Japan, Japan is a very good example, both in basketball and football. In football, they have a 100-year plan to be one of the top teams in football. When it comes to basketball naman, if you look at yung history, during the early 2010s, Japan was suspended by FIBA for not being able to handle properly yung national team nila. So what they did was they revamped their whole professional basketball league. They made it a point to really connect with their mother league, which is the B League. I think yung one of the first tryouts nung Japan national team is invite nila all B-League teams to send their players. So it's really about grassroots. Filipinos are all around the world. So we have to work on having them eligible. It sucks that we don't get players like Lucero. We don't get players like Mike Phillips. We don't get players like Balungay, who are tall players who are not, who we don't have a luxury of having many of, di ba? So yeah, but anything that we get, anything fresh, to be honest, for me, is I'm optimistic. It's good that we're finally moving on from Chot Reyes. I'm not against Josh Reyes being part of the pool, being part of the coaching staff. I think this has been an issue kasi also online. A lot of people are very mad and are not happy that Josh is part of the pool. I think that he should be. He's the coach of the youth teams, di ba? So if you're building a program, you have to have a coach who is willing. You have to have a coach. You have to get the coaches from the youth team to be assistant coaches. And I think that Josh Reyes naman is somebody who's a student of the game. Diba? We see how the youth teams play. They play a different brand of basketball, not just dribble drive. So yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic because I don't know if we have a direction. I don't know if everything is set in stone. I don't know if we will be patient enough to trust yung system ni Coach Tim, which I think we should, especially because we started. I guess it doesn't. It helps that they had a good start. Very important that they had a good start also, so that people will be more patient. I would imagine it would have been worse. It could be worse if they probably lost one of these games. So yeah, I'm hopeful for the future. As I mentioned, we have players like Oftana. We have a ton of players 25 and under who are very good. Some of them are even not part of the pool. We mentioned them during our previous episode. So we have the personnel. We have world-class personnel. The question is how we have the program, how they run the program, and hopefully it's a lot better than the previous one. Very kasi disappointing for me yung 23 for 23 plan, and then they didn't follow through with anything with regards to it, diba? I mean, if we have a plan, we have to trust it. It has to be a process. It cannot be like Gab mentioned, hindi pwedeng every window bala na. I think even Team USA is not like that anymore. It's not a luxury that any team has in FIBA because of the level of competition. I think we have to prepare 3 steps forward. We have to prepare 10 years down the road or even more. I mean, Japan. Look at Japan, diba? But yeah, I think this is a step in the right direction. Hopefully, magka-disciple din si Coach Tim that if Coach Tim decides that he's too old or he's too tired to coach Gilas in the future, then maybe we can transition to that coach to run the same program. We'll see. See you in July sa Olympic qualifiers. I think yun yung first real test ng any Gilas team when we're up against top 20 teams in the league, in the world. So hopefully we perform well. Sam, take us home.
Wala na akong madadagdag doon, Maui. Very good points. I think really just to end it, similar to what we said in the previous episode, this is a step in the right direction, and it's a good start for us with this new Gilas program. Again, wala tayong 5, 10-year, 100-year plan, but we do have a 4-year plan, and that's a small step forward, I think, for me, no? Hopefully that will address yung mga concerns niyo na hatak-hatak lang. Let's set our eyes towards our goal, yung 4-year. Again, I think for me, I do support the 4-year plan just because really the goal is to make it to like the LA Olympics, which is 4 years from now. So pretty much, I think that's, or FIBA, sorry, I forget. But that's why it is a 4-year plan, di ba? And flexible nga naman sila. Like they can add more players just how they added Japet. Hopefully they will look into other players, younger guys that they can develop. As Maui mentioned, maganda yung point mo on the coach, no? Coach Tim Cone is not getting any younger, and it would be really nice to also have a grassroots program for the coaches. Having a next coach in line that will be really focused or dedicated to Gilas, whoever that person will be. So, with that said, that's it for today's episode. Sa ngayon, guys, let's just enjoy our 2 wins. Bihira lang tayo maka 2 straight wins kapag nanonood tayong Gilas. In the past, medyo mahirap yon. So, enjoyin na natin. Enjoyin na natin yung moment. If you haven't yet, please like, comment down below your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to the Boleros podcast. We'll see you soon again. See you. Bye-bye.